And we will be 3, 2, 1 into audio oh shit, you guys. You might be mad at me. Scott, you might be mad at me.
What happened?
I don't know. I just deleted literally a ton of stuff off this computer and it just told me that there's not enough room. It said audio recording aborted for lack of space. And I literally, and usually, I delete as we go and I'm fine. Let me try this again. Maybe it'll kick in.
We can just type in subtitles for the whole.
No, I swear to God, man, this thing's not audio recording. I got an idea anyhow, Scott. What I might do is we'll do this video and I'll just pull the audio off that. It sends me an audio mix of the show anyhow. So that's what I'm gonna try that. That might be sweet.
What about just going back? Maybe just go back and you just do voiceovers for everybody's part. That'd be fantastic.
Your mouths are moving and my voice over the top. I really like that band.
I want to see how you think I sound.
Yeah,
exactly. What's your impression of me? So I guess we're rolling in this and hopefully I'll be able to pull the audio off. But I wanted to ask you guys, I've been dying to talk to Scott about it and it's just so convenient that you're here too, Denny.
Okay.
Is anyone going to talk about Donnie V getting up with Marvelous 3? Did you guys see that?
It was fantastic, man.
Dude. First of all, so I have to watch myself. I was talking to Todd about this. Do you guys agree like Chips Enough has kind of become like I gotta choose my words carefully, you guys, like a cartoon character or something? I mean, he's over the top. His wig is wacky. He's always dressed pretty wacky. I mean, he's a great musician. I actually think he sings pretty good when he's covering Donnie's parts in Enough's Enough. But Donnie V came out with Marvelous 3 and looked like contemporary. You know what I mean? He sang great. He looked great. I know he's probably a guest there, but man, they sounded good. So good.
Well, having a killer band behind you doesn't hurt. That
I know.
Sure. Whether they learned the song that afternoon or not, man, they sounded every bit as good as Enough's Enough would have done.
Right. And you can also tell that, or at least I could tell. I know Butch is a big Enough's Enough fan. I'm sure the other two guys from Marvelous 3 are. Is that Jace's kid playing guitar?
Yeah, it's his son.
Yeah. So he may or may not be hip on him, but yeah, it was cool, man. It was just good to see Donnie V, getting.
It's good to see him where he belongs. Really, I really wish those two could work their whatever their shit is out, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, who knows? I mean, Tori just left the band. They're without a lead guitar player right now, so
I saw that too.
Possibility of some kind of reconciliation, but Donnie is never not going to be a great lead singer. He's the only thing that was weird about that whole performance is you take a guitar out of his hands and he looks so uncomfortable.
I never like him without a guitar. I don't know why.
And he's great, but yeah, man, I wish he was doing more. I just wish he would do. That last album he put out was great. He just needs the right people around him, but
yeah, he did I remember seeing him do what festival? They did M3 one year, Enough's Enough, and Donnie just sang. And man, it was awkward for me. I didn't like it at all. He didn't seem like he was 100% into it either. Like he didn't look comfortable either.
I don't really know what the motivation is for that, honestly. I mean, he played guitar for years, and he's a guitar player like I'm a guitar player. It's just up there to fill in the gaps. He's not doing anything. I mean, not trying to be overly humble or anything, but I'm just the placeholder guitar part guy.
Oh yeah, right.
That's kind of what he did. But those were important placeholders in those songs, and you take that out of there, you lose a visual element that is kind of critical to what makes them cool, and you also lose. There's a whole sonic. There's just a chunk missing from the songs. I mean, you don't see it going out as a 3-piece anymore.
I really want if I could pick a lineup for Enough's Enough. Like I thought and of course Ricky Parent's gone now. I don't know, something horrible happened between Vicky Fox and that band. I mean, something terrible.
Multiple horrible things. But
but if I had my druthers, I would get Chip and Donnie back together. I'd put Johnny Monaco in that guitar slot because he also can cover vocals for Donnie.
Agreed.
And then I don't know who I'd put on drums. I mean, obviously I'd put Vic Fox if I could.
Well, they did it. They did it for one show, and no one's ever seen it. It was for a VH1 Bands on the Run season 2 that never aired.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They did it in Vegas with those four guys, and they filmed a whole bunch. It was them against but they changed the season. They reunited or pulled, kind of obscure bands and made them, the challenges were the two bands against one another. And that was
I didn't know. No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right around the time that Lost in Vegas record was being made.
I wonder who the other band was.
It was Bow Wow Wow.
It was Enough's Enough and Bow Wow Wow.
Yeah, and I remember Monaco saying they had to play poker against them. Vegas
Cool.
type of challenge.
Yeah, cool.
But they did play live.
Wow,
it's never aired. I don't know where the footage is. It exists somewhere, but
that is rad.
Isn't Vic Fox playing with Steel Dragon or Steel Panther?
He is.
Is he?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know who drums for Steel Panther. I thought it was him.
No, they've had some other guy. There's
who's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vic maybe kind of partially retired. He got injured a few years ago.
Oh.
Some kind of fall at a show, and there was a lawsuit. And
oh my God,
I don't really know the specifics of it, but yeah, the last time I saw him, he was playing for the two sisters, the Veronicas,
which was great.
Yeah, I saw him with them, and he was fantastic, man. But that's been 15 years ago, man. I don't know what he's doing now. Oh, sorry, he played Pretty Boy Floyd for a while too, I think.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite. Vicky Fox is. I mean, back in the day, drummers. He's one of my favorites to watch. He was such an entertaining dude, man.
He's a show unto himself, man.
He is a
guy for 45 minutes.
Yeah, no kidding. He's fun. All right, so Scott, there's enough of my rambling about the world of hair metal and its fucking friends. What do you got for us, Scott? What's the show topic that we brought our friend Denny Smith of the Great Affairs to join us? And you guys, who knows what this audio is going to turn out to be, but we're having some technical difficulties. I say we, it's me, and I put a $2,000 monitoring system in my basement for band rehearsal, but I'm using a laptop that I got as a sign bonus when I hired into a job 20 years ago. Let me put a floppy disk in this and dial up to the internet here. So what's the show topic, Scott?
Are you guys ready to soft rock?
I'm always ready to soft rock. Soft rock.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys, what do you think of as soft rock? What are the characteristics for you guys of soft rock?
Man, that's tough, dude. Because I'm going to be honest. I'm going to just say this right out of the gate. This was way harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be, for me, total cake. And then I realized I had to look up what are the qualifiers for soft rock. I don't even know what exactly soft. And I'm still not entirely sure that the stuff that I chose fits under the heading.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. I sort of used a lot of, I think maybe all of my stuff is 70s stuff. And I used, for me, it was, and it's funny, and I'll tell you guys a song I was listening to last night on the way home from the gig that is probably quote unquote soft rock. But I use the stuff I used to hear in the car a lot, like almost 70s radio, right?
If you hear it on 70s like soft rock radio, elevator, dentist office, it qualifies.
You know what? Now though, I go grocery shop.
We were doing just 70s though, right? Just 70s.
Oh, no. That's what I'm doing.
Okay, I
have 80s. I have a 2021 record.
Oh hell, man, that would have made this so much easier.
Are you 70s?
Only 70s.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm only 70s too.
Okay.
So
I have 3 70s out of the 5.
Yeah. So I thought of it as these songs I heard, and which were probably at the time were top 40 radio in the 70s. Right. I don't know, but it seemed like top 40 radio to me. Because last night on the way home from the gig, I had a good drive, about an hour drive, and just kind of listening to music after, on the way home. And I listened to Wishing Well by Terrence Trent D'Arby. Do you guys remember that song? What a killer tune, man. God dang, it was killer. Yeah. And maybe that's soft rock. I don't know. But yeah, my soft rock picks here are pretty 70s. Well, they're all 70s. And they're ones that I not only listened to back then, I listen to now. I still think they're great songs. And we'll get into it as we get into it. So Scott, you want to open us up since this is your forte and your topic here?
Let me tell you how this show came about. I at a couple months ago now, when I saw The Great Affairs for the first time, which was awesome.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
And realized how soft we were.
Exactly. I went, man, this is super wimpy. I wonder if I like other songs like this.
I was talking to Denny after the show. We were hanging out before Mike Tramp started, and I said, I have an idea for a show, and I think it's got you written all over it. And he said, what is it? And I said, are you ready to soft rock? And he kind of got a smile, and yeah, I think I could come up with something for that. So
I love this stuff, by the way. The stuff I
me
picked,
too.
the songs I picked are
Oh, you picked songs? I picked whole albums, but
I picked
Yeah,
songs.
that was the other big challenge, was finding a whole album. Because
dude, well, I'm out then. I picked songs, so you'll just have to
That's
live
fine.
with that. Because I sure as hell don't own a fucking Harry Jacks album, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, my first one was it's new. It's 2021, John Mayer's Sob Rock.
You really love that, dude.
Dude, it's a cross between parody and earnestness. It's like
that's my career.
He's got a song on there like Why You No Love Me, you know, just shit like that. But like Last Train Home is something you'd hear on soft rock radio. It's got that he's got the total 80s vibe to it, and the cover's got like the Nice Price sticker you remember from the record store back in the day, and
cool.
It's hilarious. But
the production qualities too. It's produced like a record of that era. He's got the sheen is exactly the same too.
Yeah, probably chorusy guitars.
You know, he portrays himself as a ladies' man, but on this record, he kind of portrays himself as someone who's kind of lonely, and it's a cool record. It's even got like soft production, you know.
Yeah. Well, he dated Jennifer Aniston, so he can cry me a river. So yeah, John Mayer, I know you're a big fan. I told you my story. I was never. He did some interviews early on, and he really came off poorly.
Absolutely.
And then I started to like him a little bit, and I know this is typical merchant, but I started to like him because I saw him cover Panama. I know that sounds dumb, but
there's no doubt that he's a killer guitar player, man.
There's no doubt.
Great writer, but I know what you're saying about his early.
Just his whole vibe, just
really smug, and
and it just
he made up for a lot of that though later on. He's actually pretty funny and self-deprecating.
He is. He was great on Chappelle's show, and
he's pals with Chappelle. Yeah, he's funny.
And did you guys? I also just saw just to get off track because we like to do that. I just saw something on social media the other day that Billy Strings was lobbying to take over Bobby Weir's spot in Dead and Company.
Really?
Yeah. That he posted, hey man, I could take, we could take this to, the continuation of what's going on with Dead and Company.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's not my jam either. I mean, that's not my jam. I'm not that guy. So, whoever plays in Dead and Company is probably not going to really register on my radar. No offense. I mean, I'm sure it'll be great, but
yeah,
I don't know, man.
Some great guys that could do
that way. I mean, they've had so many interchangeable parts over the years, but that's a really tough one to see. I mean, I guess go on indefinitely if if the fan base follows it, that's what dictates it. So, and he'd be a great choice.
Yes, he would be. He's a great player. All right, what do you got, Denny Smith? Your first soft rock pick.
Well, I'm going to start. I tried to qualify mine with stuff that I actually, with the exception of one that I had when I was a kid, like were my parents' records, probably for the most part, that I actually listened to with the big old school cans on.
Had a volume and a tone control on them.
Well, when you're a kid and you'll listen to one song over, you just you'll lift that needle repeatedly, and your parents, it drives your parents shit. So I would just they'd hand me the headphones and stick me in the corner, and I was good to go. But we didn't have we had a lot of greatest hits records and a lot of really super uncool shit but we did have some stuff that to me still stands up, and Hotel California was one of the things that,
dude,
I mean, really most of all the Eagles catalog was present, but that record to me was, and I was always freaked out by the
Cover.
gatefold creeped me out when I was a kid too. So that was kind of fascinating in a weird way, and I would still look at it even though it weirded me out. I'd look at it all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that was, and again, I'm probably dating myself a little bit here, but when I was a kid, there was remember they were looking when cable TV came out, they were looking for stations, right?
Yeah.
So the PTL club, Praise the Lord club, the 700 club was, I remember it was on Channel 7 on my TV. And my favorite PTLs were when it was Devil's Music Day and they showed albums. And even my mother, rest her soul, would sit in the living room with me and joke. And my mom was a Christian woman for sure, but we would laugh because I would play the game where the guy would say something and then I'd run in and get the album. Like, he'd go, this album, Led Zeppelin 4. And I'd run and go, look, Mom, I got, ha ha ha. We had a great laugh. Hotel California was on there. All this evil stuff.
Anton LaVey connection.
Yes, the whole bit. And then the gatefold thing, you opened it up and there was supposed to be, pictures of people, there's people in the windows and who are those people? And I remember Aleister Crowley was on the cover of like Sergeant Pepper, that was a big deal. Me looking at that. I love the Eagles and I hated them for a long time.
Hated them.
I hated the Eagles.
Just
to be a dick. Because some dickish friend of mine hated them and he was older than me and cool. And I went, well, he hates the Eagles. I better hate them too, And because that greatest hits, the Skull greatest hits, the embossed Skull greatest hits record. Oh my God, dude, nonstop. It's like anytime the record, like my stepmother or my dad even were going to play a record, it was the Eagles and it was all, and
it's hard for me to listen to now because I still remember it, the 8-track version of it. So I keep expecting the little clicks to happen in the weird spots.
Yeah.
I listen to it on vinyl and it doesn't happen on vinyl or on streaming or whatever. It doesn't happen in those. In my mind, it still is going to click in those spots every time.
That's Freebird for me. Freebird clicks from program 3 to program 4, and then program 4 is like the end of Freebird. It's a whole freaking program 4. Eagles. Now I love them. I do. I love the Eagles. I actually heard some really like shocking stuff about Don Henley not too long ago that I won't get into, but it was really like
the
tour stuff. No, like tour stuff, like what he was like on the road, what he was like with women.
Oh, this is news to you?
Yeah, I didn't know that. And I guess I was too busy, wondering what Donnie V was up to wonder what Don Henley's life was like for sure. But yeah, I love the Eagles and there's a staple, man. Any 70s radio station you're going to get, because if it was a rock station, the cool thing was if the stuff was heavier, you could get Life in the Fast Lane or Victim of Love, stuff. And if it was a soft rock, you could get Witchy Woman would be on a lot, Witchy Woman and One of These Nights and all that kind of stuff,
Well, it's weird when you listen to these records that, it's because I don't get a chance to do this as an adult, hardly ever, but those records, man, to me, every song on there might have been a hit because I listened to them equally. Like unless you had one that you, like I said, there's a Neil Diamond record that I obsessed over one song where I would just play it over and over again. But that Eagles record, man, it was just turn it over, play it, turn it over, play it. It just all those songs might have been singles. Especially when classic rock radio got a hold of it, they played
anything they wanted.
Stuff. It was just you don't know what was an actual hit song.
And there's always those not oddball songs from them, oddball hits, I'll say, but like I just mentioned, I mean, I really love, and I played in a cover band that played Victim of Love, and it was so fun and so cool, and and like you said, the staple songs are the staple songs for sure. So I didn't pick albums because you guys are, I guess way more prepared than I am.
Your fearless leader over there specified to me that it was albums. I asked. I wanted to make sure that it was a.
I don't listen.
Have my assignment correct.
Denny, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really clarify anything that Scott says. I show up. I show up on the recording day. My computer might be jammed from who knows what it is. I'm sure smut from years of smut on the old black computer here on the Black Dell. but I can't let it go, man. I can't.
That
I'm
wasn't what that JPEG was that popped in there for a second.
Yeah.
exactly. Oh God, delete, Control Alt Delete. So I picked singles because that's truly the mark of a great mellow jam. No, I'm just kidding. And these are some of my favorites. I'm gonna start out with one that you guys will know, everybody will know, and it was a staple. I can hear it playing right after that Eagles song on the radio, and it was Terry Jack's "Seasons in the Sun."
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude, that's a great song. It's a great, and the thing about these soft rock songs that I often don't think about, I guess, is but like the songwriting's really good. I mean, at times it can be a little I don't want to say cheesy, but a little heavy-handed. But like Seasons in the Sun, that's just great songwriting. You know, that's a great songwriter. It was driven into my head because it was on the radio I can't even tell you the year it came out, but I will tell you it felt like there was a time where I heard Seasons in the Sun, I heard Starland Vocal Band, I heard Witchy Woman 100 times a day if you took a car ride that lasted more than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They were just always on. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that Terry Jacks song, and I never learned it, and I probably should because it's such a great tune. But yeah, that's my first soft rock jam. What do you got next, Scott?
Looking Glass, their self-titled album. The main single, of course, is Brandy,
which is a fantastic,
which was a B-side on another. I can't remember the single that they released that did nothing. And a guy at a radio station somewhere liked Brandy, and he played it every hour, and that's how it got rolling.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh man, no kidding. How
yeah,
cool is that?
They were discovered by Clive Davis.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And then he sent them to I think Steve Cropper or something like that to produce a record. They're like Wussy Leonard Skinner, that record. It's like
which is the name of my next band.
They're connected to Stars in some way. One of the members went on to be in Stars, I think.
Okay.
Really?
I read a book.
It's like I mean, they didn't really like the image of Brandy. They were like a wussy kind of Skinner with a little bit of funk thrown in their, like Catherine Street or Dealing with the Devil, other the title track. There's a lot of good songs. What's that?
Did they write the hit? Did they write it themselves, or was that a song that they covered? You know,
I'm not sure if they wrote
Brandy
all this stuff or not, but
huh.
I don't even know any of the musicians in the band. I just like the record. I've always liked Brandy because it was pop. I mean, I was born in '72. It was #1 in '70, like the summer of '72. So I always liked that
great
song. And then as I got older, I got the full record, and I'm like, man, there's so much. Catherine Street is a killer song.
I don't think I've ever listened to a complete record. That's the only song I know by them. I'm gonna have to go.
I'm the same way. I only know Brandy, and that was a good enough for me.
It's soft rock Skinnerd.
Soft rock Skinnerd. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Huh. Remember that name. Nice. What do you got next, Denny?
Let's see. In my pile. Oh yeah, this is the obvious one. Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, baby.
Oh,
dude, yeah.
I mean, not to go with like all the ubiquitous '70s records that everybody's parents own, but man, we wore that out. In fact, when I went to look through the stuff, I have 2 copies of it on vinyl and 2 CD copies of it. So I apparently felt the need for redundancy in case something happened to one of them.
I have one I keep in a room in my basement in case there's some sort of nuclear. I'll always have it. Yeah, well, I don't really even know what to say about that other than, I mean, that's a cultural record, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a defining moment in culture, which is crazy to think about. But that really set the tone, right? For years to come.
For about 2-3 years it did. And then there was the huge back. I mean, I guess technically I considered that soft rock.
Oh, God.
Yeah. There's ballads and stuff on there, but, More Than a Woman. But that is still disco, too. That was the other thing. I said, man, I don't know how these two genres overlap, but, I mean, the Bee Gees are about as soft rock as it gets.
Oh, my God. But beautiful. I mean, beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was a guy that I was so Bee Gees. I'm going to throw some Bee Gees clout your way right
Oh,
now.
no.
That my school, I'd forget what year, you guys. I may have even been like preschool or kindergarten. I'll have to ask my best friend. My yellow plastic lunch pail was the Bee Gees. They're on it, right? And they're all in satin jackets. They're open a little bit, but there they are, right? And there's always like that one kind of like John Paul Jones dude that it's a little tight around his belly, like John Paul Jones outside the plane. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's got his shirt open, but there's a little bit, which really made me hopeful for like band photos for years to come. I'm like, fuck it. And John Paul Jones had a little paunch. But anyhow, they're in their jackets, right? And they're kind of half open. Well, it was one of those, I don't even know what you call them, hologrammy type, where you tilt it.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah.
picture did. Well,
a lenticular cover.
Is that what it is?
I don't know, something like that.
I don't know, but when you tipped it, they popped those jackets all the way open, and it was all. And dude, so we're.
Please tell me you still have that,
dude. I wish I did. I
Oh,
wish
man.
for years, Dutch Henry in our little merch tub to keep like money and string winders and all that stuff was my Dukes of Hazzard metal lunchbox.
Right.
Oh,
We
wow.
had that for years, but this plastic gem. Now that I think back, I'm like, I was the dude in school. It's a wonder. I pull out my cheese sandwich and my thermos of milk my mom gave me out of a lunchbox where the Bee Gees popped their shirts off, man. I'd have beat my ass if I could have. I mean, come on. It's a wonder. It's a wonder. Give me a break. But I love the Bee Gees. And then thanks to be honest with you, I'd love to play, like I say on this show all the time, I'd love to be cool, and I can't. But I got into old Bee Gees thanks to Oasis.
Really?
Yeah, those guys were really hyping old Bee Gees. They were big old Bee, and I'm not disco Bee Gees, but we're talking
No, the late 60s.
which is
man, some of that stuff is great.
If you're not into that, you gotta give it.
Started a joke.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, Love Somebody. Those are great songs.
New York Mining Disasters on there, which is a great song. There's a song, It Doesn't Matter Much to Me. It doesn't matter much to me. It's gold.
Yeah.
All those songs, and even like one of my favorite covers of all time is this alt country band called Slobberbone. They cover To Love Somebody.
Yeah.
Imagine it with, Telly Deluxe in a plexi with that little bit of breakup over it. It's killer. It's a great cover.
Ginger Wildheart's first band after the Wildhearts was called Silver Ginger 5. They do a cover of it on their record too.
And it's killer, yeah. God, I love the Bee Gees. I mean, obviously enough to have a lunchbox where they pop their shirts.
I met Steve Gibb, Barry's son.
What was that?
Really?
What were those circumstances?
He played bass for Black Label Society.
Really?
What?
Yeah, Steve Gibb. Yeah, he it was back when my friend Nick or Craig, sorry, was playing drums for Zach, Craig Neunenmacher. And I went backstage after the show, and I had my poster, my Black Label poster that's over there. And Steve signed my poster, S.O.B. And I go, S.O.B.? He's like, yeah, son of Barry.
Oh my
that's
God. That's
killer.
crazy.
Wow, that's really cool. Played with Black Label Society. Wow.
Yeah, he played bass for Black Label.
That's
He
great.
did all the high harmonies.
That's great.
Tons of them.
Yeah, that dude can't sing a low part, same as that. All right. My next single, again, this is such a great song. Everybody knows it and loves it, I think, is Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh yeah.
And the thing I miss all the time when I'm talking about Sundown, because I love the words, I love that acoustic sound, his acoustic, is the lead guitar in it. And I don't know who played it. It is awesome. All those, bands and those little licks in that tune are just killer. Gordon Lightfoot would have been in, that on that radio station in my folks' car. There was a lot, and you'd hear a lot of friends. Believe it or not, I had a weird circle of friends, obviously, but in high school,
Tolerated your lunchbox, you mean?
Well, exactly. The five
lunchbox.
Exactly, the 5 dudes who let the lunchbox slide. They were really into Gordon Lightfoot, and one of my buddies, this is my Gordon Lightfoot story I tell every time I play a Gordon Lightfoot song. Plus, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best, especially for someone my age. That was everywhere. But
and the anniversary of that this month.
Shit, dude, it could be like today. It might be. Oh, the fits. But anyhow, a buddy of mine went to Lake Superior State, up in the UP, and I believe they would like sometimes go over to Canada to drink and go to bars and hang out. And they went to this bar. He tells the story. They go to this bar in Canada. This dude is hammered drunk, sitting there with an acoustic, like on a stage playing, and people are kind of listening, but he's hammered drunk. And all he's playing is Gordon Lightfoot covers. That's all he's playing, one after another. And it was Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh,
it was
shit.
Gordon Lightfoot. Yep.
wow.
So he's like, and he says to the bartender, like, Jesus Christ, this dude knows a lot of Gordon Lightfoot tunes. Who is he? And it's crusty ass old Gordon Lightfoot. So
was he like playing an actual engagement, or he just?
I think it was a gig, dude. I think it was a gig.
I saw him live.
Was it great?
Yeah.
It was.
Was
a friend of mine.
Yes,
I know. I can't tell. Scott.
No, a friend of mine who's handicapped. I went with him, and so we had awesome seats, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was when I worked at BIM.
Oh yeah, he's Gordon Lightfoot
back in the 90s.
I love him. I love that song. What do you got next, Scott?
The Scattering from the Cutting Crew.
Oh.
It's an amazing follow-up to Broadcast.
Wow.
I mean, that band got a bad rap. There was so much more to that band than Died in Your Arms.
Which is a great song.
I love all those. Well, there's really only 3 records.
There's 3, yeah.
Guys, but man, those first 2 are so good.
Yeah.
I mean, they were so good live too.
Yeah, you saw them at the Illinois State Fair, right?
Yeah, Heart of Illinois Fair, man. They were, but that second record did exactly dick, man. It came out and the single did nothing, and which I think I still have the cassette single. The first they put that "Rock in a Hard Place" song out.
Yep.
Disappeared.
Yeah, not to be confused with the Stones, but yeah, and it's like One for Mockingbird, the title track, Big Noise, all those songs are great on there. It's
the title track's great. It's funny, we were playing a bar in Southern Illinois a couple of years ago. I think it was a St. Patrick's Day thing, and that was playing, and I was like, "Who the fuck is playing this song?" And I thought maybe John, the owner, had put it. He goes, "Oh, it's just some playlist."
Yeah, it's like
how did this land on a playlist, man? It was never a hit. It's the weirdest.
I think it's a more personal and like contemplative record from them, I think, or so.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah, I love that guy's voice too, man. That's a good call.
Yeah. Great follow up to Broadcast.
There's a lot
records did not agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that though. Had I used maybe broadened my release years, there you go. I mean, mellow tunes. I could put "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me" in there. I love that tune, or whatever.
Take it away, George.
Exactly.
Oh, we could go. I mean, I just go straight Air Supply all the way.
Oh,
yeah. I know we could have gone to the 80s.
Yeah, can my whole list be Air Supply? All right, what do you got next, Denny?
Let's sift through my stuff. Oh, okay. So this is the one record that I don't think I was aware of it as a record, but I knew all the songs. And I didn't buy this probably till I was in my 40s. But The Captain and Me, Doobie Brothers.
Oh, the Doobies.
And I don't really consider them soft rock either. But when I went to look at what was considered soft rock, I saw their name pop up a bunch of times.
Yeah,
so
they were
counting for the Michael McDonald era. But man, I love this record, dude. I mean, China Grove.
Oh,
that's just an unassailable riff. Even though that does not make it any more soft rock, but I mean, there's other great stuff on there too. But that's one that, to me, they're another one of those ubiquitous radio bands that could not be escaped when you were a kid.
Yes,
and are killer.
Yeah, and a great band too, and great players. So
the Doobies were big with single dads in my neighborhood. They listened to a lot of Doobie Brothers. Growing up, I grew up in kind of this little housing project of all single parents, latchkey kids. And my buddy's dad was, looking back, he was, my buddy's dad was probably in his 30s, and back then he was someone's dad. So he
was ancient.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was a Doobies guy. And then Showtime, which started in my area as this Channel Z, it was called, and you got a box that sat on top of your TV. You turned your TV to channel 3, you clicked the box on, and now you're on channel Z, which became Showtime. They were running a Doobies concert. It was on all the time. You know, you click on channel Z trying to get, you know, whatever the softcore of the air, you know, Wild and Beautiful on Ibiza. And if it wasn't on, it was the Doobies with Michael McDonald. And I loved it. I watched it all the time. You know, what's his name? Long, straight-haired Pat. I can't think of his last name.
Oh, Simmons.
Yes.
Simmons.
Killer, right? And that's when
Yeah.
Skunk Baxter was in
Yeah,
the
Skunk
band.
Baxter.
And you know, of course, this greatest Dutch Henry invention of all time, you know, Mr. Microphone, the thing you talk into and it turns your voice to Michael McDonald. So, you know, you're delivering bad news. That was our whole, you know, this is a van ride. Of course, you guys, a long van ride where it became, you know, the doctor coming out. You've got cancer, you know, that kind of thing. So.
It's like the in the 40-Year-Old Virgin where that manager at the store played Michael McDonald all the time.
Right. If you play this, I'm going to shoot this place up. Yeah. Killer. I love the Doobies, though. I do love it. And there's some cover band gold there, too.
Yeah.
You can bust out.
Yeah.
You can get a Doobies. You can get Long Train Running going with damn near any band. They're ready for it. My next pick is, I mean, this is one of my favorite duets of all time. Elton John and Kiki D. Don't Go Breaking My Heart.
No.
I can see the whatever they called it back then. I don't know if they called it a promo video or whatever.
Video, yeah.
Yeah, but she's got the bibs on, you know.
Yeah.
It's just gold, man. It's so good. And it was that. You know what? I should look and kind of see the years of these songs I have on my list, because they're probably all like 1 year that I rode in the car a lot, or, you know, where we were driving
there's
back.
Something about that era too that I think is funny, and I noticed this when I was going through these records, is not so much on the band side of things, but more on the solo artist side of things, is how heavy the use of strings were. Like real strings, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the thing. By the 80s that just became synthesizers or something. But the use of strings in those songs, like, man, how did these artists do this shit live? Because all of these hits had mega string arrangements in them.
Well, and that's the other thing that tells you, it tells you how the record business is the fact that they were putting strings on. I mean, that's union. They're paying union time to sections, to whole orchestras. And someone would do that for, you know, some artist that wasn't, you know, that wasn't Fleetwood Mac. They would have a string section, which blows my mind. Those recording budgets had to be out. Well, they were probably, you know, all recoupable. So that's why I was
gonna say, once you get into the recoupable side of things, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Right. And then, you know, your producer's like, you know what this needs, dudes?
Yeah.
This needs some strings.
That invoice gets inflated a couple times over.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, isn't it, it was McCartney, I think, who was fighting for years, because wasn't there like a Let It Be Phil Spector mix or something? Is that?
Oh yeah, they did that. That's why they did that naked version where they took the strings
off. And like McCartney was pissed and like sent a letter like, don't do this, you know, don't ever do this kind of thing to me again. But Don't Go Breaking My Heart was my jam. That's a good one. I could have put I'm gonna, you know what, real quick, I'm gonna throw another one in there. Love Will Keep Us Together by the Captain and Tennille.
Oh God, I love that song.
Yeah, I loved it. They had Go ahead, Scott. You were going to say something.
Didn't Brian and Lois do Don't Go Breaking My Heart on Family Guy?
That could be.
Are you serious?
Which would be
when
great.
They got that dog, New Brian.
New Brian. You know what I got to say about, you know, again, the Elton and Kiki D tune and the Captain and Tennille. I grew up in such a weird time that the Captain and Tennille had their own TV show.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how weird my life. It's a wonder, dude. It's a wonder that I, you know, sniffed glue and smoked pot and became a drunk. My life was weird. I grew up in a world where the Captain and Tennille had a TV show that you would watch with your family. That's weird. All right, what do you got?
Didn't he never speak? Didn't
I don't remember. In
my brain, for some reason, he was like, he never spoke.
You might be right. And I would confuse Tony Tennille and Kiki D from time to time. So they that connection is there too. I think they both had that curled under. You know the car I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What do you got next, Scott?
Heart Like a Wheel from Linda Ronstadt.
Oh.
I mean, I think this record is where she found her voice. You know, she didn't write any of the songs on here, but she makes it sound like she lived them.
which is what Emmylou Harris does, which is what
Yeah, George Strait, all
those
those people. Yeah.
song interpreters I call them.
Yes.
And you know what, man? There are,
Sinatra.
dude. You know what? There are. I was just listening to it last night. You think about Waylon Jennings, the Honky Tonk Heroes album. That's all Billy Joe Shaver tunes.
Yeah.
All Billy Joe Shaver tunes. Waylon would do that. You know, he could interpret a song, and
Yep.
yeah, man,
It's
that's
an art form into itself, man.
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
mean, from You're No Good and that, which was a hit, and It Doesn't Matter Anymore, which I don't think it was a big hit, but I love that song. Um, there's a band from Texas called Anytown that does a cool cover of Doesn't Matter Anymore on their record.
I mean,
They'd
she
be
was.
she had
they'd
two,
be
two
soft
greatest hits
rocky too.
volumes. That's another one of those things where I struggle with not putting that first greatest hits. That was gonna be on my list too. I was like, I don't want to do greatest hits albums, but
Yes.
that's all we had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Her, we never had any of her complete studio records. So I
we
only
had that greatest hits in our house, that Eagles, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's some good ones.
I feel like it just came with the house when you bought it.
it seems like it.
There's like
The
5 or 6
starter
records
pack.
that were there. So
Exactly. And you look in the corner in the record nook, you'll find 5 records. The Eagles' greatest hits. In my house, Kenny Rogers' greatest hits.
oh yeah, yeah.
All right, good. What do you that was Scott? It's you, Denny. What do you got?
Well, since we're on the comes with the house selections, Fleetwood Mac's Rumors would have.
Love it.
There's no way I can not have that included in this.
I don't know that I can live my life without that record.
I couldn't, and I was telling my wife yesterday. I was like, "This is that was the one where it's like I listened to it then. I still listen to it now with equal fervor. There is no,
Yep.
it's never been diluted by time in any way, shape, or form. It's still beautiful. I don't care how many times they try and remaster or do anything to it.
It
just
should
perfect.
never be touched,
Perfect
man.
record.
It is a perfect record. My wife hates Fleetwood Mac. Hates them.
I know some people that do.
Hates them. It's very
Wow.
weird. It's very weird. She's a weird chick. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac's Rumors is again, we had that too. That Rumors was definitely in that collection with with the Eagles' greatest hits with and Rumors
Yeah.
is, I mean, it's so good, man. It is so, and if you listen to and not to get nerdy about it, but right, Rumors was recorded at Sound City.
Yeah.
After watching that documentary, I've told this story before too, is when I got hip to Buckingham Nicks. Because, dude, I mean, I want to be cool, right? I want to be like, oh, can't believe you guys don't listen to more Peter Green, Fleetwood Mac, that kind of shit. But I got hip to Buckingham Nicks, and because that first song ever recorded on that famous Neve Council was A Crying in the Night by Buckingham Nicks.
Really? I didn't know that.
The first song ever run through the council, recorded through that Neve, was Crying in the Night by Buckingham Nicks. And it's a great tune, dude.
That's a really good record, man. I mean, I don't know why they can't clear whatever the hurdles are to get that properly re-released. It's been bootlegged so many times, and they're great bootlegs. But
oh man, and that whole, again, I think Rumors, there's sounds on Rumors, certainly drum sounds that set the tone for years to come. The sound of Mick Fleetwood's toms in that room. You know what? Do this sometime. Listen to the toms on Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. God, I am nerdy. It's a wonder. I wish I were eating my lunch out of my Bee Gees lunchbox. You listen to Rumors and listen to like Holy Diver. Listen to the tom sound. It's pretty close. It's the sound of those. I don't know. I can't prove this. I mean, I suppose I could. To me, it sounds like 70s concert toms, which were the no-headed. They had no heads on the bottom.
Head. And
they didn't even have hardware. They didn't have lugs for that shit. They were like, we don't need those. It's the 70s, man. But yeah, that sound of Sound City and the drum sound, which is even Dave Grohl talks about that. Like that's what Sound City had a sweet spot for drums, and Mick Fleetwood, of course, was in. Yeah.
Mick Fleetwood had such a weird. His touch as a drummer is really unique too. Like just the way he attacks the drums is not typical.
No.
So everything about that record is vibe. Like there's no better word than vibe for that album. It just has a thing It just
that
breathes, man.
no
It's
one ever
phenomenal.
got again.
Yeah.
And by the way, a side note, that was also on the 700 Club, the PTL
Why?
network. I
Really?
don't know,
Why?
dude. I don't know. But drugs maybe, because that was a thing. It was Satan and drugs, you know. So if
Oh.
it had drug references, but they showed a picture of Mick Fleetwood, right? And he's in the middle of maybe a solo, one of those big busy Tom things.
Yeah.
And his eyes are, and if you watch Mick Fleetwood play, he does roll his eyes up in his head. And
Oh,
kind
I
of
was scared of him when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
When I was a kid, yeah.
Me too. And so he's on there and they're like, look, and they freeze him. His eyes are rolled up in his head and he's playing. And they're like, this is where the possession begins. I'm like, yeah, he's possessed. He's probably been blowing rails the entire day, man. Yeah. Yeah, his eyes are rolled up into his head, man. He's ground his teeth to nubs and he's just trying to rock out and bang Christine or Stevie, I suppose. All right. Well, my next pick, it's almost embarrassingly cliche. And you know what I also hate is when people have kids and they're like, well, when you have kids, man, you'll understand. Right. There's a lot of that. What is it?
Cats in the Cradle.
It's fucking Cats in the Cradle, man.
Oh.
Come on. Tell me it's not good.
I'll give it to you, man. There's no getting around that one, man.
And tell me this too. I mean, you have a kid, man, and that sort of happens. I mean, it happens. It certainly happens, you know.
Yeah, but I celebrated it more than anything.
Exactly. A child arrived, and when will he be gone? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm in the midst of it right now. You know, there's a whole lot of, you know, we'll get together then, Dad. Except
I got a 26-year-old still at home, so
yeah. But it is a timely song. It's beautiful. It's timeless.
Yeah.
It's and come on, man, we're all of the same ilk. We might as well talk about the cover. I mean, what weird 90s hard rock band would cover Cats in the Cradle?
Yeah.
You know?
Ugly Kid Joe, baby.
How weird is that?
And a killer job, I thought.
I mean, I thought they did a good job on it too.
I always liked that band, and I don't know why.
Well,
it seems like I shouldn't.
You know what? I tried to draw a line one day. I was trying to figure out when record company people who nailed the 70s cover, and then record company people started, you know, producers and stuff were going, hey, dudes, you need, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a thing in the 90s with 70s cover because some like rapper / rock guy did a cover of Sundown. You remember that?
No, but I'm sure it's
terrible. I don't remember. It was like one of those half rap, half rock guys like Everlast or something.
Gross.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That sounds gross.
I can't remember the guy's name, but
so that you're right about that because, you know, I remember Mr. Big covering Wild World.
Wild World, yeah.
And it was good. It was really good.
You know, Ugly Kid Joe doing that, and oh man, there was others.
My favorite, little sidetrack, one of my favorite 70s covers by a band, you know, when that was, is Faster Pussycats, You're So Vain.
Oh yeah.
That's killer.
I love
from
it.
an EP.
In fact, I might prefer that to the original.
I
Buckled, Belted, and Booted, I think, from the EP.
Yeah.
And the video's cool as shit.
Oh,
but there was some of those cool. Like I don't know if you remember them, because we all worked at a record store, but there was this band. Oh God, now I forgot what they're called, but they were like a half serious, half badass musicians, and that's kind of what Ugly Kid Joe was like, you know.
Yeah.
It had some, like, Shannon Larkin was in Ugly Kid Joe, wasn't he?
Yeah, on that record.
The drummer.
Actually, he wasn't on that record. He didn't join until the Hotel California or whatever it was. Motel California, whatever it was called. I don't.
Shannon Larkin was from Wrathchild America.
Yeah.
Didn't he end up in some grunge or one of these?
I think he was in Godcrack for a little while.
Okay. Yeah.
He's still in Godsmack. He's in Godsmack now.
Is he now? Okay. Because
Yeah,
Tommy Scott from Lillian Axe also was in Godcrack too.
Yeah, he was there for
it's nice. That's
2 records.
It's good that Scott keeps up with what the dudes in Lillian Axe are doing. That's good.
Well,
That's
I mean,
important shit.
I'm glad he could go on and make some cash.
Well, those dudes pop up a lot. You know, there's a lot of those.
I couldn't follow him to listen to Godcrack. Not for me.
No, that wasn't for me either. But I will say there is a lot of those hair metal dudes who pop up places. where you don't expect them, where they did. People go, oh, they never had a career, and maybe they weren't the front guy, right? The poofy haired front guy. But these guys were all technically pretty good musicians, and
Yeah.
Look at Amir Darak. He managed to squeeze by in 2 or 3 different bands and still, remain relevant. You can put enough makeup on, no one knows the difference.
But I'll tell you what, man, I still love that Rough Cut tune, Never Gonna Die. We're never gonna die.
Dude, that first record's the shit, man. I love it.
This is Paul Shortino.
This podcast is like, we're the Bee Gees lunch pail of podcasts. This is nerdy shit.
3 nerds.
Exactly. So what do you got next, Denny? Or no, was it you, Scott?
I have one left.
Yeah, I've only got one left too.
All right, go ahead.
Here, Scott.
Asia by Steely Dan.
Oh, yeah.
I knew there had to be one Steely Dan in here at some point.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was going to drop it.
Yeah, I'm not a Steely Dan guy.
I'm trying.
From the title track to Black Cow to, it's perfection in the studio. They did a VH1 behind the album one on
cool.
Asia. Yeah.
Where they picked it apart and did the tracks and all that. I love that.
Yeah.
What are the big hits on that record that I would know?
Exactly.
Black Cow was one of them.
That was a song called Black Cow that was a hit song?
Yeah, drink your big black cow and get out of here.
Seriously.
It's got, let's see, Asia. Let's see.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to have to be a big hit for me to register.
Peg, Deacon Blues, and Josie were the 3 singles.
Josie. I think I know that song.
Peg wasn't that about the lady who committed suicide off the Hollywood sign?
Oh my God.
I think she was an actress and she jumped off the Hollywood sign. I think something like that.
That certainly sounds like some Steely Dan ideas for sure.
Deacon Blues is they call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call me Deacon Blues. That's the.
Yeah, I'm out of my depth on this one. I really tried to get into them because I like some of the hits, but I just never could get through a whole record.
It's got Larry Carlton on it. Steve Gadd plays on that record. Bernard Purdy. It's all stars. Michael McDonald's on there doing backing vocals.
So I have a question, Steely Dan question then for you as an authority. So outside of Becker and Fagan, it was always a rotating cast, or was there
pretty much there would be sometimes they would bring in 20 to 30 guys to play parts.
So there was never a Steely Dan band that stayed
not really
for 3 records. Okay, all right,
not really, no, because they'd work with Porcaro, Gadd, all kinds of different drummers. They worked with Porcaro a lot. Like when Fagan went and did a solo record, Nightfly, I think. That's mostly Jeff Porcaro from Toto on drums on that record.
So they were kind of like a early precursor to Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yeah, they would just
change members every album and get better and better as they went along.
Yeah, I think I was part of Steely Dan at one point. And,
yeah.
I mean, Chevy Chase was early Steely Dan. He was hung out with those guys and was.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he was actually in the band.
Exactly. He played bass.
Remember Call Me Al? He could play all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you saw him play, man. He's got the chops.
True, clearly.
All right, Denny, you got your last one?
My last one, Supertramp, Breakfast in America.
Oh, yes.
That's another 8-track that just got worn out, man. Like, worn out. And I don't know what they did before that or what they did after that, but that album was everywhere when it was,
It's one I could never get into.
Came out 70s, 75, 76. I don't even know what year. But
had the famous cover with the waitress on the
and they owned radio.
They owned radio.
Yeah.
Our kind of hometown heroes, the Verve Pipe, have a cool Supertramp cover. You know the song I'm talking about, Scott?
Not sure.
Yeah.
I was never a Supertramp fan.
Yeah, I have a cover of it.
The dude from Into the Wild, didn't he call himself Alexander Supertramp or something?
He did. Yeah, that'd be Christopher McCandless to you.
Yes.
All right. Well, my last pick is one of my all-time favorite mellow jams from the 70s. I love everything about it. And it is Chevy Van.
Oh, Sammy Johns.
I
Now,
would
to me,
never have
that's
known who did that song.
what's that?
I would never have known who the artist was if you hadn't just said that.
Oh yeah, Sammy Johns. And dudes, again, let's talk songwriting. Let's talk songwriting. It's great songwriting, great image. I mean, there's a line in that thing. One of my favorite lines of all time is I put her out in a town that was so small you could throw a rock from end
From
to
end
end.
to end.
I mean, that's genius. My wife says it's creepy. She says it's got a rapey vibe, but there's a lot of that back in the 70s, you know.
I joke about that. I say that to my wife too. This is one of my favorite songs about molestation.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Dude, that's a
one of his favorite songs about
molestation.
Well, I mean, Jason Isbell's got one. I mean, so
dude, for me, you can go through a litany of songs and you're like, hey man, this would never fly today.
Christine 16.
Oh yeah.
Well, sweet little rock and roller. There's all.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of them.
Pedophilia has been a theme through rock and roll history. Scott, I don't know if you know that. It's very creepy. Well, cool. We all wrapped up some 70s and some. Scott went a little deeper than us. So what situation are you rocking a mellow jam? When do you need a soft rock jam?
Sometimes I would like in the morning. I need something light and airy, you know.
Yeah.
So I'll throw on Sob Rock by John Mayer or Looking Glass or
Looking Glass. That's a great record. I'm glad you had that. That's
it is. I mean, it's like it's one of those records where if you think the single is the best song, then you're missing out.
I'm going. That is inspiration enough because Brandy is such a great song. If that's not the best song on that record, I better find out what is.
Yeah, Catherine Street, Deal with the Devil. It's only like 8 or 9 tracks, but it's awesome.
Are they one of those bands that only had 1 or 2 records?
I believe it. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Clive Davis, I mean, he thought something of it. So,
and then one of them went on to be in Godsmack, I think. No,
I think they just and Steely Dan.
Right, they were all in Steely Dan at one time. All right. Well, hey,
they
Denny,
look like the cover of that record. It looks like the 2 guys in the back, I'm guessing, are probably the bass player and the drummer. They look like they were in a prog band, and the 2 guys in the front look like they were from Flannel Fest that you played last night, John. So
say no more. Hey. I play the big rooms. If there's a big festival, your Lollapaloozas, you know, your Ozfest, your Flannel Fest, I get them all in. All right, Denny, thank you for coming with us today, man. Thank you for this. Thanks
for the invite, man.
Obviously, a guy who can appreciate this soft rock jam. Maybe a soft rock album in your future, thematically, you know, where you just that's all it is.
I mean,
he's got a soft rock jam. Over the Moon is kind of soft rocky.
Yeah, I've done some relatively, you know, maybe we'll do a soft around the middle rock.
That's a peach
album.
I've done some soft rocking in my day. Scott, you got any words to leave us with today?
That's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. Denny, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Denny.
Peace out.
Thanks everybody. See you.